Donald Trump has officially been arrested after the consistent indictments and persecution from the Biden DOJ, and with it comes his mugshot, which was also his first post with his return to Twitter. This is absolutely legendary. This picture will be thrown into the annals of history. People in 50 years, when they are in school, will be looking at pictures of this mugshot in their history books. Let's go ahead and jump into it. 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, has officially returned to Twitter with the posting of his mugshot after his recent arrest. This is quite fascinating for me and for absolutely everyone because, one, the king has returned to Twitter, and this is going to be absolutely hilarious because he's going to drive people absolutely insane, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm not even the biggest fan of Trump. I just think it's hilarious how he makes everyone lose their minds. The closer we get to Arkham Asylum and the political landscape, the further deracinated people become from their approach to the establishment that really legitimizes the perspective and the value of government and government apparatchiks. So this will only devalue that in the eyes of the people, which should effectively break down the quality of institutional control because people won't see the value in institutions as much anymore. That was one thing that Trump was great for. He was a human hand grenade to be thrown into the system. And Michael Moore absolutely nailed this. I will be getting into a video that covers that in just a moment, where Michael Moore breaks down what happened with Donald Trump in 2015 and why, when he got elected, it was going to be the greatest FU to the establishment that has ever been recorded in human history. Okay, let's go ahead and get to some of these responses. But Roseanne Barr says, punk rock. And in response, John London of the Sex Pistols said, I never thought I'd live to see the day when the right wing became the cool ones, giving the middle finger to the establishment, and the left wing became the sniveling, self-righteous, twatty ones going around shaming everyone. And that's absolutely true. The way the culture has shifted is unbelievable. Carrie Lake, we are all the way with you, Mr. President. Carrie Lake, possibly going to be Trump's VP or possibly even his, I would say, his Secretary of State. But what would be even better is if she was the press secretary. Because she is so media savvy and she's so talented at this, and she knows the game that the press plays. She would be incredible as the press secretary. Trump, do it. Just saying. Also, with Donald Trump's problems that he has with the optics when it comes to women, that would be a major thing of incredible value. So, we have this clip right here, and this is from a movie. I'm not entirely sure what movie it's from, but the quote is great.
Pull the whole thing down. I'm going to bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's got to be biblical.
That's solid. But again, as we talk about the nature of Trump possibly running for president again, we need to talk about the nature of things like his war crimes, which thankfully the Mises Caucus will not let people forget. Trump vetoes measure to end U.S. involvement in Yemen war. Yemen, being the poorest country in the Middle East, already before the U.S. started funding a war of genocide against their people by funding the Saudis, who were realistically committing absolute heinous atrocities against the people of Yemen even before we started funding the war and refilling their fighter jets under Barack Obama, when Barack Obama said the purpose for funding them was to, and I quote, placate the Saudis. So, what Barack Obama did was he funded a war of genocide to placate one of the most totalitarian anti-liberal regimes across the planet. That is the people who we have in office and that we've had consistently in office. And because of that, that mentality and those actions are the type of things that spurred people into this action of voting for Donald Trump. So, like we see Scott Pressler, welcome back. This will be the most viewed post in X history. And I thought it might have been Donald Trump's interview with Tucker Carlson that would have been the most viewed post in X history. But, yeah, this is going to be unbelievable. And realistically, it still could be Tucker's interview. Tucker's interview with Donald Trump was at like 250 million views last I saw it. And granted, that's impressions. It's probably roughly half of the views. But that's still 100 million views. That's 10, 20, 30 times the amount of viewership people would be getting on places like Fox News, or if you wanted to pull and collect all of the places like CNN, ABC, CBS, and take all of their primetime viewership, put it together, it still wouldn't even equal a fraction of Tucker's viewership and his traction and reach that he gets now on Twitter. Okay, we transfer over to the man, the myth, the legend, who has been enticing Donald Trump to come back to Twitter, Elon Musk. He says, next level. And it is next level. The first thing Donald Trump does is he comes back to Twitter, posting his mugshot, Kubrick staring straight into the camera. And if anyone's not familiar with the Kubrick stare, is a structure used from a film director named Stanley Kubrick, where he has a top-down camera angle look directly at the individual who is the subject of the frame, and they're looking directly into the camera with light panning down over them with top-down lighting, and they look menacingly into the camera and tilt their facial structure upwards. And it's to show that the character has reached the highest peak of their madness. I cannot wait to see where this goes. This is going to be hilarious. Okay, moving on. Let's go ahead and jump into this clip from Michael Moore. I genuinely think if you haven't seen this, it's going to be stunning because he accurately predicted, and being the only one to accurately predict, that Donald Trump would get elected in 2016 and why exactly it would happen. Let's go ahead and throw it into Michael Moore.
Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them. It was an amazing thing to see. No politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, the Brexit states. You live here in Ohio, you know what I'm talking about. Whether Trump means it or not is kind of irrelevant because he's saying the things to people who are hurting. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail that they've been waiting for. The human hand grenade that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them. And on November 8th, Election Day, although they've lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone, the car's been repoed, they haven't had a real vacation in years, they're stuck with the shitty Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a fucking Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had, except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. They might be penniless, they might be homeless, they might be fucked over and fucked up. It doesn't matter because it's equalized on that day. A millionaire has the same number of votes as the person without a job. One. And there's more of the former middle class than there are in the millionaire class. So on November 8th, the dispossessed will walk into the voting booth, be handed a ballot, close the curtain, and take that lever, or felt pen or touchscreen, and put a big fucking X in the box by the name of the man who has threatened to upend and overturn the very system that has ruined their lives. Donald J. Trump. They see that the elites who ruined their lives hate Trump. Corporate America hates Trump. Wall Street hates Trump. The career politicians hate Trump. The media hates Trump after they loved him and created him and now hate him. Thank you, media. The enemy of my enemy is who I'm voting for on November 8th. Yes, on November 8th, you, Joe Blow, Steve Blow, Bob Blow, Billy Bob Blow, all the blows get to go and blow up the whole goddamn system because it's your right. Trump's election is going to be the biggest fuck you ever recorded in human history. And it will feel good.
Elucidated perfectly by Michael Moore, explaining exactly why Donald Trump is the human hand grenade to be thrown into the establishment to completely dismantle the system, Whether it works or not, it does not matter. He is nothing more than the avatar of their hatred for the people who have destroyed the 21st century, for the artificial elite class that have completely decimated the capacity for lower and middle class prosperity to ascend upwardly through the economic ladder. That is exactly what voting for Donald Trump is, and it goes exactly with what he tapped into in his good old, age-old quote. They're not after me, they're after you. I'm simply standing in the way. And you should seriously expect something along the lines of, they're not trying to arrest me, they're trying to arrest and lock you up. I'm just in the way. I fully expect something along this rhetoric to come. That's all I've got for this. Thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Tell me what was wrong in the comment section down below. Stay lovely, stay great. Peace out.